learner will be able to identify the contents and layout of the 2 volumes of the Imdg code and its supplement. Note: this module is based on the Imdg Code 2014 edition, International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code, incorporating Amendment 3714 and the current in-force supplement. Where the phrase "the code" is used in this module, it refers to this publication. The Imdg Code is an international agreement for the transport of dangerous goods by sea. It is published by the IMO. The code was developed as a consequence of the implementation by the IMO of Recommendation 56 of the 1960 International Conference on the Safety of Life at Sea, commonly referred to as SOLAS, which stated that governments should adopt unified procedures for the carriage of dangerous goods by sea. Many sections of the code are more applicable to those who work ashore in documenting, packaging and handling dangerous goods, or in the manufacture of packaging. However, a working knowledge of the contents and basic provisions of all areas of the code will ensure that a seafarer is better able to perform his own duties. It is also important to point out that statistically, the majority of problems with dangerous cargo consignments are not the fault of ship's personnel in any way. Problem shipments are frequently intercepted at the point of loading by vigilant staff, whilst thorough on-board patrols will pick up problems that develop during the voyage. A good monitoring and reporting procedure between crew and the responsible officers is essential. The Imdg code comprises 2 volumes and a supplement as shown. Click on the 3 covers to view the respective tables of contents. Volume 1 contains the majority of the regulations associated with the carriage of dangerous goods, specifically those related to Part 1, General Provisions, Definitions and Training. Part 2, Classification. Part 4, Packing and Tank Provisions. Part 5, Consignment Procedures. Part 6, Construction and Testing of Packagings, Intermediate Bulk Containers, Large Packagings, Portable Tanks, Multiple Element Gas Containers, and Road Tank Vehicles. And Part 7, Provisions Concerning Transport Operations. Volume 2 contains Part 3, Dangerous Goods List, Special Provisions and Exceptions. Appendix A, List of Generic and NOS, or Not Otherwise Specified, Proper Shipping Names. Appendix B, Glossary of Terms, and the Index. The supplement to the code contains Emergency Response Procedures for Ships Carrying Dangerous Goods, or EMS Guide. Medical First Aid Guide for Use in Accidents Involving Dangerous Goods, or MFAG. Reporting Procedures. Guidelines for Packing of Cargo Transport Units. Recommendations on the Safe Use of Pesticides in Ships. The International Code for the Safe Carriage of Packaged Irradiated Nuclear Fuel, Plutonium and High-Level Radioactive Wastes on Board Ships, or INF Code, and an Appendix containing resolutions and circulars referred to in the Imdg Code and Supplement. The Imdg code is also available as a fully searchable database on CD-ROM, and both intranet and Internet versions are available through subscription. Using the electronic version avoids much of the work of looking through the various tables and regulations, as it consolidates all of the basic information for a particular product on a single screen, and facilitates access to subsidiary information with a click of a mouse. The Dangerous Goods list in Chapter 3.2 is a list of many of the dangerous goods most commonly transported. The list includes entries for specific chemical substances and articles and other entries of a generic or not otherwise specified nature. The goods are listed here in numerical order, according to their unique 4-digit United Nations numbers. If you only have the name of the substance, start by looking up the UN number in the index at the back of Volume 2, and then enter the list. The dangerous goods list is divided into 18 columns, as shown. Click the columns for more information. This is the unique identifying number assigned to a dangerous substance, material, or article by the United Nations Committee of Experts on the Transport of Dangerous Goods, as contained in the UN list. The UN number is made up of 4 digits. This shows the proper shipping name of a dangerous substance, material, or article to be used in any documentation relating to transportation, such as on forms, labels, and placards. The name is shown in uppercase capital letters and may be followed by a short additional explanatory statement, such as flashpoint less than 23 degrees Celsius, or not less than 30% water by mass. If there is an alternative proper shipping name, this will be shown in brackets. This column indicates the class of the substance, material, or article as defined in the code. For Class 1 substances, the division and compatibility group are also shown. Where a substance, material, or article has been identified as possessing an additional risk, the applicable subsidiary class is shown in this column, again using the classification as defined in the code. If multiple subsidiary risks have been identified, they will all be shown here. This column also identifies a dangerous product as a marine pollutant, using the symbol P. For packing purposes, substances or articles other than those of classes 1, 2, 5.2, 6.2, and 7, and other than self-reactive substances of class 4.1, have been divided into 3 categories, called packaging groups, according to the degree of danger they present. High danger, Group 1, medium danger, Group 2, and low danger, Group 3. This column indicates that group where assigned. This column contains a number referring to any special provision or provisions relevant to the substance or article. These provisions are found in a special list of instructions and requirements contained in Chapter 3.3 of the Code. Chapter 3.4 of the Code also includes sections which cover the transport of dangerous goods of certain classes packed in limited and accepted quantities. The maximum quantity per inner packing under which the provisions of this chapter apply is indicated in this column. If the number 0 appears, this indicates that the substance or article is not permitted to be transported under the Code. Column 7b contains an alphanumeric code which indicates the maximum quantity per inner and outer packaging for transporting dangerous goods as accepted quantities, as listed in the code. Metric units are employed, such as grams, kilograms, litres, and millilitres. Chapter 4.1 of the Code contains a detailed list of instructions concerning the use of packagings, including intermediate bulk containers, or IBCs, and large packagings. This column contains an alphanumeric code, being P for packagings and LP for large packagings, which refers to those instructions. The prefix letters also refer to details on the construction and testing of packagings and large packagings found in Part 6 of the Code. When a code including the letters P or LP is not provided, it means that the substance is not allowed in that type of packaging. This column contains a similar alphanumeric code, which refers to the relevant special packing provisions, where applicable, and are specified in Chapter 4.1 of the Code. PP denotes a special packing provision corresponding to a packaging instruction with the code P. L denotes a special packing provision corresponding to a packaging instruction with the code LP. Note that these are special packing provisions, as distinct from the special provisions related to the handling of certain substances, materials and articles. Chapter 4.1 of the Code also contains a detailed list of instructions concerning the use of intermediate bulk containers, or IBCs. This column contains alphanumeric codes which refer to those instructions, and the codes carry the prefix letters IBC. When a code is not provided, it means the substance is not authorized for carriage in an IBC. With regard to packagings and packages of radioactive materials, this column refers to section 4.1.9 of the Code, that is, special packing provisions for Class 7. This column contains an alphanumeric code which refers to special packing provisions applicable to the corresponding packing instructions bearing the code IBC in Part 4 of the Code. These codes contain the prefix letter B. This column is now reserved for new data in a future revision of the Code. The data which it contained up until now is no longer valid. This column contains codes with the prefix letter T, applicable to the transport of dangerous goods in portable tanks and road tank vehicles. When a T code is not provided in this column, it means that the dangerous goods are not authorized for transport in portable tanks unless specifically approved by the competent authority. Bulk Container Code. The code BK refers to the type of bulk containers used for the transport of bulk goods described in Parts 4.3 and 6.9 of the Code. This column contains codes with the prefix letters TP, applicable to the transport of dangerous goods in portable tanks and road tank vehicles. The TP notes specified in this column apply to the portable tanks specified in columns 12 and 13 for both the IMO and UN tank instructions. The entries in this column refer to the relevant emergency schedules for fire and spillage in the EMS Guide, Emergency Response Procedures for Ships Carrying Dangerous Goods. The first EMS code refers to the relevant fire schedule, such as FA, General Fire Schedule. The second EMS code refers to the relevant spillage schedule, such as SA, Toxic Substances. If the EMS code is underlined, as found only in special cases, this indicates a substance, material or article for which additional advice is given in the emergency response procedures. Special attention needs to be paid to dangerous goods being transported under generic carriage conditions, as the emergency response procedures may vary with the hazardous properties of the goods. Shippers may therefore declare different EMS codes from those indicated if, to their knowledge, such codes are more appropriate. The provisions in this column are not mandatory. This column contains the stowage and handling provisions for substances, materials and articles as prescribed in Part 7. This column contains the segregation provisions for substances, materials and articles as prescribed in Part 7. This column contains properties of and observations on the dangerous goods listed. The provisions in this column are not mandatory. Properties of most gases include an indication of its density in relation to air. The figures in brackets give the density relative to air. When explosive limits are given, these refer to the volume percentage of the vapour of the substance when mixed with air. The ease and extent to which different liquids mix with water varies greatly. Most entries have included an indication of miscibility, normally taken to mean capable of being mixed with water in all proportions to form a completely homogeneous liquid. In basic terms, this means a measure of how well the liquid will mix with water. This is simply a repeat of the unique identifying number, as also shown in column 1, to assist in tracing information across the two adjacent pages. This chapter details the special provisions applicable to certain substances, materials or articles shown as required in column 6, Special Provisions of the Dangerous Cargoes list. Note that if a special provision is no longer needed, it is deleted in the next amendment to the code, but the number is not reallocated in order to avoid any confusion. For this reason, some numbers are now missing. This section deals with the provisions in respect of the transport of dangerous goods packed in limited quantities, the maximum limit under which these provisions apply being indicated in column 7, Limited Quantities of the Dangerous Goods list. The provisions of Chapter 1.4 do not apply to the transport of dangerous goods packed in limited quantities. This section deals with the provisions in respect of the transport of dangerous goods packed in accepted quantities for certain classes other than articles which are subject only to limited provisions of the Code. Substances, materials or articles not mentioned specifically by name in the dangerous goods list shall be transported in accordance with the provisions for generic or not otherwise specified entries. Such goods must first have their dangerous properties determined and be classified according to the applicable definitions, tests and criteria. The most specific applicable name shall always be used. Appendix A contains the main generic entries and all the not otherwise specified or NOS entries given in the dangerous goods list, but in this appendix they are grouped according to class or division. This appendix is a glossary of terms found in the Imdg code. The explanations with the terms are for information only and are not to be used for the purposes of hazard classification. The index found at the back of Volume 2 contains an alphabetical listing of all commonly shipped substances, materials and articles, together with a range of general descriptive names for those which are not individually listed, such as flammable liquid. For the purposes of alphabetical order, prefixes, numbers and Roman numerals, such as tertiary, para and beta, have been disregarded, although they form an integral part of the name. In this index, if the name is written in lower case and the word C appears after the name in the substance, material or article column, this indicates the entry as a synonym, and reference must be made to the entry in the dangerous goods list against the UN number and proper shipping name shown. 3 columns appear alongside the names, indicating marine pollutants, class and UN number. Certain marine pollutants not assigned an NOS or generic entry are found only in the index. Click the columns to get more information. This column identifies a dangerous good as a marine pollutant using the symbol P. Completing this chapter, the student will be able to state the meanings of the basic chemical terms found in the Imdg code. A number of basic chemical terms are used in the Imdg code. Click on the terms for an explanation. An article is a device that contains a dangerous substance or mixture of substances. Examples of articles include fireworks, aerosols, cigarette lighters, and bombs. Any kind of matter, that is, any chemical element or compound in its natural state or obtained by processing. All substances are characterized by unique chemical composition, the parts of which have identical physical properties, thus making them homogeneous. Many substances are compounds and some are elements. Examples of substances include salt, iron, and cane sugar. Material is a non-specific term, usually applied in a collective sense, such as raw materials. It should not be used as a synonym for the term substance. A material is accepted as having a number of general properties, but these may vary depending upon the exact composition. For example, all timber has the same general properties, but individual woods have different colors and textures. Matter exists in three main states for our purposes here: solid, liquid, or gas. The physical state of many substances will vary depending upon the temperature and pressure applied to them. Click on the states to get more information. Chemicals are identified and characterized by their properties. Physical properties are used to assist in the classification of substances and articles within the code, and some important physical properties are also specified in the code on the individual schedules. The physical properties we are concerned with are listed below. Click on the properties to get more information. This is the temperature at which a liquid boils and begins to turn into vapor. In other words, its vapor pressure then exceeds the atmospheric pressure. The boiling point will vary depending upon the pressure applied. Boiling point criteria are used together with flash point to assign packaging groups to flammable liquids. All solids and liquids give off vapor consisting of atoms or molecules of the substance that have evaporated from its surface. As they do so, the pressure exerted by the vapor above the surface increases until at some point it reaches a constant value or is in equilibrium. This point is termed the vapor pressure of the substance and is specific to the given temperature. A substance with a high vapor pressure at normal temperatures is often referred to as volatile. Vapor pressure is an important consideration in defining whether a particular substance should be classified as a gas, and also in determining the toxicity of substances if inhaled. Flash point is the lowest temperature at which a liquid or volatile solid gives off sufficient vapors to form an ignitable mixture with the air near its surface. A flammable liquid cannot be ignited so long as its temperature remains below the flash point. The flash point gives an indication of the risk of formation of an explosive or ignitable mixture when a liquid escapes from its packaging. Most substances have a lower flash point when the vapors are trapped near their surface, for example inside a tank, than when the vapors are free to spread into the open air. The first flash point is quoted as the closed cup value, and the second as the open cup. The flash points quoted in the code are closed cup values. This is the minimum temperature required to initiate or cause self-sustained combustion in any substance in the absence of a spark or flame. Factors such as friction may generate the necessary heat. This is the range of concentration of a flammable gas or vapor in which explosion can occur upon ignition in a confined area. In other words, it is the percentage by volume of the vapor-air mixture in which a flash will occur, or a flame will travel if the mixture is ignited. Below the lower explosive limit, the mixture is termed too lean, containing insufficient combustible fuel to sustain ignition. Above the upper explosive limit, the mixture is termed too rich, containing insufficient oxygen to sustain ignition. The melting point is the temperature at which a solid will change into a liquid at atmospheric pressure when heated, such as ice turning to water. Note, the terms melting point and freezing point are often used interchangeably, depending on whether the substance is being heated or cooled. Care must be exercised in the selection of packing materials for solids which have a relatively low melting point, when, for example, transporting them from cold northern areas to a tropical region. Density is determined by dividing the mass of a sample of a substance by the volume it occupies. This is usually expressed in grams per cubic centimetre for a solid or liquid and grams per litre for a gas. The United Nations Package Performance Test recognizes that product relative density can affect container performance, particularly impact strength. Relative vapor density is important in stowage planning. For example, a gas such as arsine, which has a relative vapor density of 2.8 compared to air, would not be stowed below deck, where it could not easily disperse in the event of a container being damaged. For similar reasons, on-deck stowage would require a container packed with such goods to be stowed clear of living quarters. Solubility is the ability or tendency of one substance to blend uniformly with another, such as a solid in a liquid. The term miscibility is applied to one liquid dissolving in another liquid, or one gas dissolving in another gas. Miscibility and relative density are important factors in assessing the medium to be used in fighting fires involving chemicals. For example, water would not be suitable for fighting fires involving petrol, which would float on the water and spread the fire. Odor is another word for smell. Many substances have a characteristic odor, which may be the first indication of product escape, and any unusual or unexpected odor should be treated as a warning, triggering an appropriate emergency response. Be aware, however, that certain substances have no discernible odor, and sensitive instruments will be required to detect their presence. A substance capable of being readily ignited and burning. The terms flammable and inflammable are interchangeable in the context of the Imdg code.